Hello to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. What a cracker of a summer's day we have today. It's Friday before the long weekend, and Sydney has put on a cracker of a summer's day. Not a cloud in the sky. I'll just do a 360 just to show you how beautiful and blue and clear this sky is on this wonderful summer's day. Thank you for joining me again on Jim's 5am Club. It's my lunch break. I've come out, and what I think I'll do is do what I normally do at lunchtime, and that is go for a walk, have a talk, and just share a moment with all my friends and see where it will lead us. Anyway, let's do a book summary today. And the book summary is entitled The Upside of Irrationality. And it's written by an author, a male author by the name of Dan Ariely. Dan Ariely is the author, and we're going to do a bit of a deep dive on some of the advantages of being irrational. And I guess we've talked about this time and time again, but that we're all ruled by irrationality, by irrational fears, and most of the people, if you look deeply into what makes them tick, you'll see that there's a lot of irrationality and silliness in the fears that they have. But the other thing we also learn is that in order to fall in love, in order to love, and in order to do the many things that we do in our lives, like have a family, have children, bring them up, stay married, travel in planes, and all of those sorts of things, mean that we need to sometimes listen to our hearts and do things which are irrational and go against logic. And I say time and time again, even if every single person in the world was divorced and separated, and I was single, I would still scour the world, the planet, to find the love of my life, Paula, and get married, regardless of what had happened to every single other person. So let's start digging a little bit deeper into this book summary, and just alert ourselves to the things that go on in our lives and what makes us tick. And the author kicks off the book by suggesting that we are all susceptible to a formidable array of decision biases. There are more of them. There are more biases in our lives and in our decisions than we realise, and they come to visit us much more often than what we'd like to admit to. So nothing in our life is black and white and clear cut, and you can get 10 people to stand exactly where I am at the moment, and we'll all have a different experience. We'll all see something different. We'll all notice and pay attention to something different. Some will pay attention to the Queenscliff taking off. Others will look at Catherine Hellman taking a turn and about to take off. And yet others will look at that little red ferry that parked up at wharf number 3 or 4. Anyway, let's just check out these ferries take off, and we'll continue our talk along our merry way. And also welcome the Sydney 2000 into Circular Quay as well. So there are a number of biases that we have in our life which are both good and bad, and shape the way we see the world and shape our experiences. There's one called the creator's bias, which makes us overvalue the things that we're working on. So our opinions, our thoughts, our family, our experiences, our assets, you name it. Whatever is yours and whatever you've spent time working on and accumulating, you will value much more than what other people value those things at. Because of the effort that you've put in to something, you think it's worth a lot more, and a lot more than what other people value it at. So it just goes to show that when you're invested in a thought process, an idea, a person, a relationship, whatever it is, once you're invested in it and spend time pursuing it, then you're less likely to try and give it up. But you also spend a lot of time convincing yourself how important it is when it may not be all that valuable or important, and hence why people hold on to things for so long which are not serving them and are not creating a better life or a better outcome for them. So the author talks a little bit more about some other topics, and the other topic that they talk about in this book about our irrationality is that online dating doesn't work because checklists aren't how we evaluate partners. I'm sure if my wife used a checklist on me, there'd be quite a few boxes that would have crosses next to them, and maybe a few that may have ticks, even though when she first met me, most of those boxes would have been ticked with passion. But it just goes to show that love is blind sometimes, and when you get to stay with a person a whole lifetime, then all of a sudden you start to see the warts and all of Jim. So in 2014, and dare I say it's higher now, 64%, well over half of the young people were single, and there are more people single now than what there have ever been before in the history of mankind in terms of relativity and percentages. So a powerful concept to think about. Why are so many people single? When 1 or 2 generations ago, people would be dating, people would be getting engaged, people would be getting married at a very young age, starting their families, getting on with their lives, and basically living a complete life with one partner and spending their time, catering and enjoying their family life. Whereas today, with all the family breakup, with all the divorce rates skyrocketing, it appears that there are people who are single, and there are more single people today than what there were 1 generation ago or 2 generations ago, which has its challenges, which is going to change the way society is and the way we live going into the future. I've got to tell you, that statistic blew my mind. Like, I understood that divorce rates are higher now than what they've ever been before, but to think that young people are not engaging and not spending more time with their partners and linking up, so to speak, is I find it quite devastating and quite sad and disappointing, given that I have 2 granddaughters. And just looking into the future, I just hope that they find their love of their lives and can settle down fairly early and get on with their life without spending their days spinning their wheels and wondering what life is all about and why they can't achieve the beautiful dreams and things that their parents and grandparents were able to achieve so much easier when times were so much simpler. And I guess one of the challenges that each generation faces, and especially the ones going forward, is that people have so many choices these days and career options. And we have become the Da Vinci people, jumping from one thing to the next and just being seduced by opportunity, by choices, by promises of a better future, because everybody out there is promising to give you a better life. Everybody is promising to give you a better job. Everybody is promising to have fun times and better times in their social circle. But the reality is that once you're in those new jobs, in those new social circles, in that new dating scene or that new relationship, what you find is that it's all talk and there's no substance to support the words that you're being fed. You've been fed. And as the Greeks say, loia, loia, loia. Words, words, words. So the big challenge and the big warning to people is that if you don't settle, it's almost impossible to develop a solid circle of long-term friends, and even harder to find a long-term partner in or next to that circle that you're in. I often see people traveling overseas and chasing their career and moving here and moving there and swapping in and out of social circles, hoping to have a better life and to meet better friends and to make more of the opportunities that they have available to them. But at the end of the day, nothing much changes. Because as they say in the classics, if you keep on shaking the milk, if you just keep on shaking and shaking and shaking it, if you keep on moving, then the cream is never, ever going to rise to the surface. And the other statistic in terms of dating is that, don't waste too much time dating too many different people, else you get confused, because everybody's good at something. Everybody has redeeming features and redeeming characteristics. And the more people that you date, the more people that you hang out with, the more chances you have of being confused and not being able to make a decision and suffer analysis paralysis. It's a real situation. It's a real sort of thing that happens when people procrastinate by having far too many choices, and it's called the paradox of choice. The other statistics that I heard that I couldn't stop laughing about is that 90% of time used on online dating platforms is spent looking at profiles and messaging with potential partners, and only 10% of the time is spent face-to-face meeting up and getting to know each other. But as we know and as we realise, there's got to be a spark, and you've got to feel for the other person. And according to the author, love is the most irrational thing in the world, and the silliest, most irrational thing you'll ever do. So sometimes we just need to go with our hearts, just go with the flow. And the other thing that the author talks about, the third point which comes out of this book, sorry for jumping around, is that we need to try and avoid short-term outbursts and to steer clear of long-term bad habits, because what they do is that they come back to haunt us. There's a concept that the author raises in this book, and it's called self-herding. And self-herding is when you look at your past behaviour and see what you've done in the past, and you use your past behaviour, even if it's wrong, to justify and determine what you should be doing next. Because the brain takes shortcuts and it recalls what you did last time whilst you're in the same situation, and encourages you to do the same thing. And that's why some people continue to make the wrong decisions. They continue to fall for the wrong people. They continue to make the same mistakes and date the wrong people because they haven't given it enough thought initially to know who they are themselves and to sort themselves out. Because once you sort yourself out, then it's very, very easy to find the perfect partner. Because if you've sorted yourself out, then you're able to chop, change, bend, and do whatever you need to do in order to be the best you possibly can to make the most of the relationships that you're involved in. If you don't sort yourself out first, then you're not going to be able to endure and succeed in a relationship, is the common theme that comes out of a number of books that I've read just recently. So I think I'll finish there, ladies and gents, boys and girls. And thank you once again for joining me on Jim's 5am Club on this spectacular Sydney summer day. The book that we've just gone through is entitled The Upside of Irrationality. And we've learnt that there are a number of biases and irrational things that we do, and that falling in love is going to be the most irrational thing that we ever do. But you just got to go with the flow and do what feels right, because subconsciously you know what's right. But you've got to go with your feel and not to spend too much time trying to tick the boxes and do the checklist, because you don't fall in love with a checklist. You don't fall in love by filling out a profile on Tinder. That's just an opportunity to meet people, but it's not going to probably be the sort of people that you want to spend the rest of your life with. So that's about it, I think. Thank you very much. Let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I'm well, and I feel great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable, and let's stay irrational for love's sake. But before we become irrational, let's be rational first and sort ourselves out. Let's unfuck ourselves first, and then once you've sorted yourself out, then and only then you are available to go out and meet the love of your life and to hopefully live happily ever after, as most of our relatives, grandparents and previous ancestors did. Take care and look after yourselves. It's the long weekend and Australia Day is just around the corner, and if today's a sample of what we're going to experience next Tuesday, then it's going to be a lovely end to January. Yassas, take care, be lucky from Jim on Jim's 5am Club, and we'll chat again. Bye for now.